Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to my new video where we are going to go over 5 uncommon Mordekaiser tips. My goal behind this video is to just help as many people that are going to be taking it first time into ranked, even though they should be doing normals first, and try and get them in a better spot before they jump in. If you're new to my channel, my name is Lowfit. I do educational content. I'm a Diamond 3 player, and as always, if you have any questions for me, you can hit me up in the comments down below. And I'm also going to link my Twitch and Discord if you want to get a hold of me for any questions. Alright, and jumping into the first tip. Now, I put this one at the start because I just want everyone to have a really good understanding of this before they leave the video, because I think it is going to just help out so many different people. So, Mordekaiser has a E that is actually very similar to Swain. What I mean by that is it has a sweet spot. See how it kind of goes in and out? You want to have the enemy right where that arrow ends, because that is where the sweet spot and where the claw will come back extremely quickly if you throw it, and right when it passes through them it will pull back. So just give you an example right here, and it's going to pull them back. Now, the closer they get, the better, because you're going to be able to have the pullback sooner and get CC on them quicker and give them less time to dodge. So if they're closer and you put the arrow right over there, it's going to pull them back extremely quickly and have them even be closer on top of you. You want to get people as close as possible to you, just because this is Mordekaiser's playstyle. He has a crap ton of damage he can do in the melee form with Obliterate, and then his passive that is provided by Darkness Rises, where you get extra magic damage on your autos. So always have a good understanding of the timings with this, and you always want to hit them right on that sweet spot, right where that arrow ends, and it will give a very quick pullback. And this can be done at pretty much at any range. There's going to be a sweet spot. This is really, I think, is going to be what separates a lot of the poor Mordekaisers from the really good Mordekaisers. So if you have any questions for me about this E ability, just hit me up in the comments down below. Alright, and for tip number 2, I want to jump into his kit and where he most likely will be seen. You're going to start seeing a lot of Mordekaisers in the top and mid lane. I think that he is going to be a pretty decent solo laner in both those parts, maybe a little bit of play in the ADC role, but what I want to go over particularly right now is where a lot of people are going to be playing him, and that is in the top lane. And what I want to talk about is his W and how extremely important this is as a burst prevention tool. You want to be using it similar to something like Garen uses his W when he knows he's going to take a lot of damage. He gets the damage reduction and the CC reduction. So this just it'd be better here with no minions around. So just pretend this minion is Renekton. What you really want to look for is for his W. That is a sign of an enemy champion that's going to be going all in and doing as much of his burst as possible. This is when you want to proc your indestructible, because it means that he is going to be in melee range and you're going to be taking a lot of damage. So that's going to store a lot of a potential shield for you there. And then also him signaling that he's going into melee means you're going to have a good amount of damage to burst, and that is also when you wanted to be using the indestructible skill. So using your timing on this ability is really going to be what separates the poor Mordekaisers from the really good Mordekaisers, is understanding when your burst is coming in, when you're going to be able to put out a lot of damage, and just going for some incredible amounts of shield through the indestructible ability. Again, if you have any questions about this, I'd be happy to help you out in the comments down below. Alright guys, and jumping into tip number 3, I really want to talk about his passive. It is so exciting. It is such a cool ability. So let's just read it real quick. After 3 basic spells or attacks champions, Mordekaiser gains a decent amount of damage and max percentage health damage that surrounds him and gives him movement speed. So what this means is it's kind of similar. I want you guys to think of it as a phase rush, where you have to proc 3 different abilities and then you get the increased movement speed and the increased combat stats. So a really easy way to practice would just be auto Q and then an E, and then you get this. So the importance of having this passive up is going to be really big. First up, it's going to allow you a lot more all-in potential with the damage per second you see ticking right there. It's going to last and it's going to get refreshed. The same with your Conqueror, as long as you stay in combat. So this is a really good way to initiate all-ins, to just make sure you have this procced at the start. Also, what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to kite them out, and they can be taking damage from this passive and you can wait for your stronger abilities to come up. If you're going to lose auto trades, if you're against something like a Tryndamere or a Darius that can do a lot of damage in the consistent trades, you might want to proc this, use your abilities, and then kite them out with the movement speed gained by your passive, so you can re-engage when you do have your cooldowns up and you have a stronger window of power to engage. So always make sure to use this as an offensive and defensive tool, because 10% movement speed really cannot be undervalued in any situation, particularly when it's between two melee champions that are looking to fight each other. Again, if you have any questions about this tip, you can hit me up in the comments down below. Alright guys, and jumping into tip number 4, and what I am most excited about is this ultimate. It is so insanely cool. First up, it has no cost to it, which is absolutely amazing that there is no cost to any of these abilities. It is just so nice to not have a health gate. So with the ultimate, I know a lot of people are saying like, hey, this just really counters like things like Juggernaut, where there's just one big carry and a bunch of people protecting him. But what I want you guys to think about when you're using this ultimate is what is going to create the biggest power differential in the team fight if you take that one champion out. If they have an 8-0 Sejuani that is just really unkillable in the mid game, super strong, and their backline doesn't really have too many resources, you actually might benefit from pulling out the tank as opposed to a single carry and just squashing him out because of the just the potential that carry has. So always, before you go into team fights, always check which of your opponents has the most resources on them and how you can change that. Now, if you feel like you can burst someone out extremely quickly and you just want to get those stats so you can fight, that is another way to approach it. But I think the best way is to just, with this Realm of Death, is to be like, hey, this is the champion that I need to take out of the team fight, and we can win if he is not there. Now, the 7-second duration is pretty crazy. You do not have to be able to beat the champion in a 1v1 to use the ult on them. It is actually could be a very viable strategy to pull in the ADC that is 10-0 and maybe just pulling them in. They're not able to fight in the team fight, line of sighting them, and making sure if they do come in your line of sight, you can hit them right around there by hiding right around the wall. So have a good understanding of what you need to do well before any team fight is going. Just always keep it in the back of your mind. Hey, they have a Darius that's 10-0. Hey, they have a Caitlyn that's 10-0, or someone that is extremely strong. And I think just providing your team with as big of a power differential as possible is the best. Now, this isn't going to be a good ultimate for like a 2v1 gank. It isn't going to be the best compared to a situation where you can take out a better champion in the mid game. So this is going to be a rather long cooldown when it is on its first level at level 6. So really make sure that you're doing it at an impactful time. With this, you can also prevent an enemy jungler from smiting, which is rather large. So if you're around an objective, you can just pull them out so they can't smite and your ally can't smite. As you can see, I cannot see this Rift Herald. So that means if I pulled in this jungler, he has no ability to smite during that period as well. So communicate with your jungler and your team, hey, I can take the jungler out for this smite, so that's going to cause the biggest power differential. Or hey, I'm going to take this guy out of the fight. Always let your team know before the fights who you're thinking about taking out, because they might burst or use really big cooldowns on them and you're going to end up taking them out anyways. So you don't want to have your say your Malzahar mid lane is going to use a suppression on a champion that you were already thinking about taking out in the team fight. So always communicate who you're going to be using your ultimate on. And again, guys, if you have any questions with this tip, you can hit me up in the comments down below. Alright guys, and jumping into the final tip, I really want to go over itemization, because this can be a very big pitfall with a lot of people when they are first starting out a new champion that they have not played and there isn't an established extremely strong build. Now, there are a couple of builds that are starting to prop up. A lot of people are enjoying the Conqueror build, and some using Fleet Footwork, some using Grasp, but they think that Conqueror right now, as the time of the release, a Conqueror with the Resolve secondary is best. But where you want to alter your play is if you're doing poorly, you want to build more of a defensive item set. Some extremely strong items, on my opinion, for Mordekaiser are going to be things like Zhonya's, things like Rylai's are going to be extremely strong because it's going to apply on the circle you have when you are proccing your passive. So just have a good understanding. Hey, I'm struggling quite a bit. I need to build more defensive. I need to make sure to get that Zonia's over that Void Staff. I need to make sure to get that Rylai's over that whatever that's that's Ludens, right? So just make sure that just build according to the game. If they have a lot of tanks, I think that Liandry's Torment is going to be an extremely strong item, because when you are a drain tank and a AP juggernaut, you're going to be in the fight constantly applying this tick and giving yourself a little bit more damage, and the health is also really nice. So just really think out in your mind how the team fights are going to be played out and what your role is needed. Do you need to absorb a lot of damage? Do you need to take someone out and really just destroy someone in the 1v1? And just think that out before you pick out any of your items. My personal favorite would be this set right here. It provides a bit of utility to get into good positions with your Q or your E with the Hex Tech. This Zonia's for a little bit of survivability after you use your W. Some spell pen and health is also going to be really nice. Rylai's is going to apply on everything, and then maybe a final item, Death Cap, just to have a little bit more burst potential. That'll wrap up my video, guys, on Mordekaiser. As always, I'd love to hear if you guys have your own tips. It'd just be awesome to have like a comment section of a bunch of people just trying to help each other out and get better at the champion, and be like sharing, oh my god, I tried this Gunblade build out and it was absolutely awesome. Yeah, let us know in the comments down below. And as always, guys, take it easy.
About, I think that's more of a pattern of theology.